For years, the Roloff Family Farm wasn't just land, it was legacy. Roloff Farms stood as a symbol of unity, love, and multi-generational dreams. But now, fans are left stunned by a development that few saw coming. In what's being described as the most shocking twist in Little People, Big World history, Matt Roloff has reportedly sold the family farm to none other than Chris Marek, his ex-wife Amy's current husband. Let that sink in. Not one of his children. Not a private buyer. But to Chris. And if this sounds too dramatic to be true, just wait until we break it all down. Timeline, when and how the deal allegedly happened. So when exactly did this alleged deal go down? Sources close to the Roloff family suggest that the negotiations began quietly in late 2024, just after Matt pulled the property from public listing. You'll recall that Matt initially listed a portion of the farm, about 16 acres, for over $2 million. Despite fan interest and bids reportedly placed by both Zach and Jeremy, Matt refused to sell to either of his sons. Why? That's where things get complicated. Why didn't Matt sell to his own children? For longtime fans, this part stings. The Roloff kids grew up on this land, riding tractors, building tree houses, and filming some of the most emotional moments of their lives right there on camera. Both Zach and Jeremy had expressed interest in continuing the farm's legacy, with Jeremy especially vocal about wanting to raise his kids the way he was raised. But, according to Matt himself in interviews and social media posts, neither son could come to terms with the asking price or the expectations that came with ownership. Matt claimed there were too many strings attached and that emotions made it difficult to finalize a fair deal. Zach and Tori eventually moved to Battleground, Washington, while Jeremy and Audrey bought a farm elsewhere in Oregon. The dream of passing the land down to the next generation seemed to disappear. That's when Chris Marek allegedly entered the picture. Chris, Amy's husband since 2021, is a real estate agent by profession, a man who knows the ins and outs of property deals. Some sources speculate that Chris expressed interest in helping Matt offload the land, not necessarily to live on it, but to take it off Matt's plate and potentially resell or repurpose it. But here's where things get murkier. Was Chris the only viable buyer? Or did Matt intentionally choose Chris to spite his children? Or perhaps even Amy? There are whispers that Chris had been quietly working with Matt for months, helping assess property value, draft deals, and find possible buyers. In the end, when no outside sale happened, the theory is that Chris simply bought the land himself, perhaps even at a discount. And if true, this sale would mark one of the most ironic and shocking decisions in the entire Roloff saga. Remember, Matt and Amy's divorce was filled with tension. Amy sold her half of the farm to Matt in 2019. She never expected her new husband to own what she walked away from in frustration. Now, the very man Amy rebuilt her life with could be the new owner of the same land she left behind. Fans are fuming. The internet reacts. Fans wasted no time taking to social media to express their disbelief. Reddit threads exploded with outrage. One user posted, "Matt refused to sell to his own sons and sold to Chris? This has to be the biggest betrayal in LPBW history." Over on Facebook, reactions were just as heated. Some longtime viewers commented that Matt had completely betrayed the show's original spirit, that it was no longer about family, but about profit and control. Others accused him of using the farm as a pawn in a decades-long power struggle with Amy. YouTube channels and comment sections were flooded with conspiracy theories. Was this all planned? Did Matt sabotage his own kid's future? Is Amy going to divorce Chris over this shady deal? A few fans defended Matt, arguing that maybe this was simply business and nothing more. That Chris was a qualified buyer, ready to act when no one else could meet the price. Still, the majority seem united in one belief. This was the end of an era. The numbers, farm value, profits, and implications. Let's talk money. When Matt originally listed the 16-acre parcel of Roloff Farms, the asking price was $4 million, later reduced to $3.5 million, and then pulled from the market entirely. By early 2025, insiders hinted that a private sale had gone through, some estimating it closed for around $2.8 million. Now, If Chris Marek really is the buyer, and if the rumors of a private discounted deal are true, Matt may have made less than he initially wanted, but more than he'd have accepted from his sons. From a financial perspective, it might make sense. Chris has experience in land development and real estate flipping. He could hold onto the land and develop it, lease it, or even resell it at a profit. For Matt, this may have been the easiest path to finally retire and move forward with Karen Chandler to Arizona without the headache of negotiating with emotionally invested children. But the long-term implications? Those are far more emotional than financial. The Roloff name, once synonymous with that land, is now muddied by business decisions and family fractures. The farm wasn't just dirt and wood. It was home. And now it may no longer belong to any Roloff at all. The shock of the Roloff Farms sale wasn't just felt by fans. It hit Amy Roloff right at the heart. Amy, who spent more than 30 years building memories, traditions, and a life on the property, now finds herself grappling with emotions that no one expected to resurface so soon. When news broke that Chris Marek, her husband, was the one who sealed the deal with her ex-husband Matt Roloff, Amy's reaction was, by all accounts, one of stunned disbelief. Amy has long been transparent about how emotionally wrenching it was to leave Roloff Farms after her divorce from Matt. She didn't just walk away from a home. She walked away from her identity, from decades of parenting, from a chapter of her life that spanned from newlywed to empty nester. In several interviews over the years, Amy confessed that moving off the farm broke her in ways she couldn't explain. "It felt like giving up my whole past," she once said. So for Chris, the man she married after that pain, to turn around and buy into the very land she struggled to separate from, that's more than a plot twist. That's a deep emotional conflict. What fans are asking now is, did Amy know about this beforehand? According to sources close to the couple, the timeline is murky. Some claim Chris kept Amy in the loop and discussed the possibility before finalizing anything. Others say Amy found out after the deal was already in motion, leaving her feeling like she'd been pushed aside from yet another major Roloff Farms decision. The irony isn't lost on longtime viewers. Amy often felt like she wasn't given a voice in decisions during her marriage with Matt. Now, it appears history may be repeating itself. There's growing speculation that Amy felt blindsided. On a recent live stream, her tone shifted dramatically when a fan asked about the farm. Her response was vague, "It's complicated," and then she quickly changed the subject. Insiders suggest Amy was not just hurt by the sale itself, but more so by who made the deal happen. Chris, the very person she trusted to shield her from the ghosts of her past. It raises the question, did Chris betray that trust? Amy has always spoken about the importance of honesty and transparency in her relationship with Chris. She chose him because he made her feel safe after years of emotional tension with Matt. So this move, intentional or not, has reportedly shaken her sense of emotional security. Some of her recent social media posts seem to reflect that inner turmoil. In one caption, she wrote, "Sometimes the people closest to you can hurt you without ever realizing it. Trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair." To many fans, this sounds like more than just a general reflection. It's a direct commentary on how Amy is processing what some are calling the ultimate betrayal. And the emotional toll is showing. While Amy is still putting on a brave face in public, her followers have noticed the shift in her demeanor, quieter, more introspective, and, according to one insider, deeply unsure about where things stand with Chris. Whether Amy was truly unaware or simply underestimated how deeply this would affect her, one thing is clear: she's standing at an emotional crossroads. Does she confront Chris and risk upending her second marriage? Or does she attempt to compartmentalize this, as she did for years with Matt, and stay silent for the sake of stability? Either way, the cracks are visible, and fans are watching closely to see whether Amy will find her voice again, or whether this latest blow will push her further from the Roloff legacy she tried so hard to protect. Let's start with Zach Roloff. Fans of Little People, Big World know that Zach and Matt's relationship began to seriously fracture during the infamous negotiations over the farm back in 2021 and 2022. At the time, Zach openly expressed interest in purchasing a portion of the farm. But according to Zach, Matt's behavior during those talks was manipulative and lacked transparency. He claimed that his father moved the goalposts, making it nearly impossible for him to secure the deal. In response, Matt painted Zach as entitled and not ready to take on such responsibility. The fallout was painful and public. Zach moved to Battleground, Washington with Tori and their kids, cutting physical and emotional distance from the farm and, seemingly, from Matt. Since then, the tension has lingered. And now, learning that Matt did sell the farm, but not to one of his kids, may have been the final nail in the coffin. According to sources close to the family, Zach was blindsided and furious, viewing the sale as another betrayal. Fans have speculated that Zach and Tori's increasing absence from family functions and social media posts may indicate a deepening divide. They've skipped several major Roloff events over the past year, and now, that silence seems more telling than ever. Meanwhile, Jeremy and his wife Audrey have long been vocal about their desire to raise their family on Roloff Farms. Years ago, they made a pitch to buy part of the property, but their offer reportedly didn't align with Matt's vision or price. The rejection was a blow, especially for Jeremy, who once seemed like the natural heir to the farming lifestyle. Since then, the couple purchased their own farm property elsewhere, but they've continued to make nostalgic posts about the original farm, clearly signaling that the door was never truly closed in their hearts. So when news broke that Matt had sold the farm to Chris Marek, not one of his own sons, fans immediately wondered how Jeremy must have felt. It's not just about land. It's about legacy. A dream denied not once, but twice, and to someone outside the Roloff bloodline. Audrey's cryptic posts online, talking about letting go of what you can't control and trusting God's plan, have only fueled speculation that she and Jeremy are heartbroken. The disappointment is likely compounded by the fact that Chris was never viewed as a contender in this saga. His sudden emergence as the new farm owner feels, to some, like a betrayal. Then there's the rest of the Roloff siblings, Molly and Jacob. While they've always kept a lower public profile, they still have emotional ties to the farm. Molly, who now lives out of state, has long distanced herself from the reality TV spotlight, but she's expressed love and nostalgia for the farm in past episodes. Whether she was informed of the sale ahead of time remains unknown, but fans can only imagine how surreal it must be for her to see the family farm change hands this way. Jacob, on the other hand, has been more involved in day-to-day farm work in recent years, helping with harvest season and managing the pumpkin patch. Many fans once believed Jacob might inherit or manage the farm in the future. But now that Matt has passed it to Chris, Jacob's role seems uncertain. Some speculate he was aware of the decision ahead of time and quietly stepped back, unwilling to engage in the same drama that tore apart his brothers. Still, others believe Jacob might feel just as blindsided, especially given the closeness he's developed with Matt in recent years. If that's the case, this sale could disrupt even the most stable relationships left within the Roloff clan. Here's where things get even murkier. Was the Roloff family told about the deal before it happened? Or did Matt make the decision unilaterally, once again proving that he sees the farm as his asset alone? According to insiders and leaked reports from close family friends, the deal may have been in the works for months, without the knowledge of Zach, Jeremy, or even Amy. That would explain the outrage and stunned reactions. After all, if the sale was discussed behind closed doors without involving the kids, it marks yet another instance where Matt prioritized control over collaboration. There's also speculation that Amy didn't fully know what Chris was doing either, or that she may have been pressured to stay silent. The idea that Chris negotiated behind Amy's back has fans asking, was this a tactical move or a betrayal? With all the history, broken deals, public arguments, social media snubs, it's fair to ask, is there any way back from this? The Roloffs have always presented themselves as a loving, if imperfect, family. But behind the scenes, tensions have simmered for years, and this sale might push those fractures into full-blown estrangement. Zach's distance is already visible. Jeremy, though more subtle, has hinted at ongoing frustration. And now, with Chris stepping into the central role of farm owner, the traditional Roloff power dynamic has shifted dramatically. No longer is it a question of which Roloff child gets the farm. That chapter is officially closed. This shift could widen the emotional gap between the siblings and between them and their father. Some fans believe reconciliation is still possible, but others argue the damage may now be irreversible. Even the next generation, Zach's kids, Jeremy's children, may grow up without a meaningful connection to the farm that defined their parents' lives. In the end, what was supposed to be a family legacy has become a family fracture. And the fallout from Matt's decision may continue to ripple through the Roloff family for years to come. As the Roloff family saga unfolds with each shocking development, perhaps one of the most unexpected twists is the unlikely relationship between Matt Roloff and Chris Marek. After all, Chris is not just Amy's second husband. He's the man who stepped into Amy's life after her painful divorce from Matt. At first glance, many fans expected tension, awkwardness, or outright animosity between the two men. But over time, a different picture began to emerge, one that has now exploded into speculation after Matt allegedly sold Roloff Farms to none other than Chris Marek himself. So what really happened here? Could this be more than just a clean business deal? Let's rewind to the beginning. When Chris first entered Amy's life, viewers were naturally skeptical. He was charming, mild-mannered, and seemed completely out of place in the chaos of the Roloff family dynamic. As Amy and Chris got more serious, they spent more time at the farm, where Amy still lived in her farmhouse, and fans watched closely to see how Matt and Chris would interact. To everyone's surprise, the two men appeared amicable, even friendly. Chris once described Matt as handy and even praised his work ethic on screen. Matt, for his part, treated Chris with a level of respect that many didn't expect. But was this mutual respect genuine, or was it all part of a long game? Now that the farm has reportedly been sold to Chris, fans are questioning whether this unexpected alliance between Matt and Chris was more than just civility. It may have been strategic. Some are asking, did Matt orchestrate this entire deal to ensure the farm remained under his influence, even if not in his name? It's no secret that Matt was hesitant to hand the farm over to any of his children. Zach and Jeremy both expressed interest in purchasing portions of the property, but negotiations fell apart. Matt later defended his decision, citing business disagreements and emotional complexities. But selling the farm to his ex-wife's new husband? That seems even more complicated, unless there was something else going on. Enter the conspiracy theories. Social media has been buzzing with speculation that Matt may have intentionally chosen Chris over his sons, not because Chris was the best buyer, but because Chris could be trusted to keep things aligned with Matt's long-term vision. After all, Chris doesn't have the same emotional stake in the farm as the Roloff children do. He's a businessman first, and that might be exactly what Matt wanted. Let's not forget, Chris Marek has a professional background in real estate. He worked as a realtor in Oregon for years before marrying Amy, and he's no stranger to evaluating property for both personal and commercial value. Some fans believe Chris saw Roloff Farms not just as a sentimental landmark, but as a lucrative investment. With over 30 acres of prime land, a known tourist attraction, and an established brand tied to TLC's Little People, Big World, the farm is more than just a home. It's a gold mine. So was this purchase an emotional decision to preserve a family legacy or a cold business move by someone who knows how to play the game? And let's talk optics. Chris and Matt working together behind the scenes raises serious questions about loyalty and transparency. Did Amy know her husband was in negotiations with Matt? Did Chris even tell her before signing the dotted line? If not, fans speculate that this may be the real reason Amy is now allegedly considering walking away from her marriage to Chris. Being blindsided by your husband's secret dealings with your ex is enough to shake any relationship. And yet, some fans believe Chris was simply trying to do what Matt refused to do for his own kids, preserve the farm and keep it within family reach. According to this theory, Chris may have stepped in as a sort of neutral party, someone who could maintain the property, keep its legacy alive, and possibly hand it back to one of the Roloff kids down the line, if emotions ever settle. But that theory, while optimistic, still hinges on a central question. Was this all planned? Numerous Reddit threads and fan forums have gone deep into the weeds, connecting dots between scenes from past seasons, cryptic social media posts, and financial records. Some point out that Chris and Matt have been seen working on property improvements together. Others reference a deleted comment from an alleged insider suggesting Chris had been interested in investing in the farm long before the sale was made public. And then there's the unsettling idea that Amy may have been the last to know. Fans recall how Amy struggled to move off the farm, eventually selling her portion of the property to Matt after a long, emotional journey. To now see that same land potentially in the hands of her current husband, thanks to a deal with her former one, has sparked outrage and heartbreak from longtime viewers. What's clear is this: whether or not Matt and Chris formed a true alliance behind the scenes, the outcome of this sale has left deep fractures in the Roloff family and among the fan base. The whispers of a secret partnership aren't going away anytime soon. And if Amy truly was blindsided, the fallout could be far from over. The fallout from the shocking Roloff Farms deal continues, and now it's affecting one of the most beloved relationships in Little People, Big World. Amy Roloff, the matriarch who helped build the farm from the ground up, is reportedly at an emotional crossroads. After years of healing post-divorce from Matt Roloff, Amy found love again with Chris Marek. But following the bombshell revelation that Chris may have quietly made a business deal with Matt to buy the farm, without Amy's full awareness, rumors are swirling that Amy is now seriously considering walking away from Chris. Divorce, once unthinkable, is now very much on the table. Amy's recent public behavior has only fueled speculation. In the days following the reports of the farm sale to Chris, Amy posted a cryptic Instagram story with a black background and the words, "Sometimes love isn't enough." No tags. No explanation. Just silence. Fans immediately flooded her comments with concern and questions. And while Amy hasn't directly addressed the rumors, sources close to the Roloff family say she's been emotionally withdrawn in recent weeks. One anonymous insider told a local Oregon news outlet, "Amy feels betrayed. This farm holds decades of her life, memories, sacrifices, heartbreak. To see Chris, the man she trusted most, make a deal with Matt without her being in the loop? It's devastating." Amy has always worn her heart on her sleeve, and fans know when something's off. In a recent appearance at a book signing event in Portland, she was visibly emotional. Normally chatty and upbeat, Amy seemed distracted, at one point tearing up while thanking her fans for supporting her through all of life's changes. Those close to her say she's been leaning on her children and close friends for support. But even her inner circle appears divided. Some are reportedly encouraging her to reconcile with Chris, while others, particularly those who still hold resentment toward Matt, are urging her to reconsider the entire relationship. And yet, some fans believe Chris was simply trying to do what Matt refused to do for his own kids, preserve the farm and keep it within family reach. According to this theory, Chris may have stepped in as a sort of neutral party, someone who could maintain the property, keep its legacy alive, and possibly hand it back to one of the Roloff kids down the line, if emotions ever settle. But that theory, while optimistic, still hinges on a central question. Was this all planned? Numerous Reddit threads and fan forums have gone deep into the weeds, connecting dots between scenes from past seasons, cryptic social media posts, and financial records. Some point out that Chris and Matt have been seen working on property improvements together. Others reference a deleted comment from an alleged insider suggesting Chris had been interested in investing in the farm long before the sale was made public. And then there's the unsettling idea that Amy may have been the last to know. Fans recall how Amy struggled to move off the farm, eventually selling her portion of the property to Matt after a long, emotional journey. To now see that same land potentially in the hands of her current husband, thanks to a deal with her former one, has sparked outrage and heartbreak from longtime viewers. What's clear is this: whether or not Matt and Chris formed a true alliance behind the scenes, the outcome of this sale has left deep fractures in the Roloff family and among the fan base. The whispers of a secret partnership aren't going away anytime soon. And if Amy truly was blindsided, the fallout could be far from over. The fallout from the shocking Roloff Farms deal continues, and now It's affecting one of the most beloved relationships in Little People, Big World. Amy Roloff, the matriarch who helped build the farm from the ground up, is reportedly at an emotional crossroads. After years of healing post-divorce from Matt Roloff, Amy found love again with Chris Marek. But following the bombshell revelation that Chris may have quietly made a business deal with Matt to buy the farm, without Amy's full awareness, rumors are swirling that Amy is now seriously considering walking away from Chris. Divorce, once unthinkable, is now very much on the table. Amy's recent public behavior has only fueled speculation. In the days following the reports of the farm's sale to Chris, Amy posted a cryptic Instagram story with a black background and the words, "Sometimes love isn't enough." No tags. No explanation. Just silence. Fans immediately flooded her comments with concern and questions. And while Amy hasn't directly addressed the rumors, sources close to the Roloff family say she's been emotionally withdrawn in recent weeks. One anonymous insider told a local Oregon news outlet, "Amy feels betrayed. This farm holds decades of her life, memories, sacrifices, heartbreak. To see Chris, the man she trusted most, make a deal with Matt without her being in the loop? It's devastating." Amy has always worn her heart on her sleeve, and fans know when something's off. In a recent appearance at a book signing event in Portland, she was visibly emotional. Normally chatty and upbeat, Amy seemed distracted, at one point tearing up while thanking her fans for supporting her through all of life's changes. Those close to her say she's been leaning on her children and close friends for support. But even her inner circle appears divided. Some are reportedly encouraging her to reconcile with Chris, while others, particularly those who still hold resentment toward Matt, are urging her to reconsider the entire relationship. The trust breach, if confirmed, may be irreparable. Amy was vocal in the past about her feelings of exclusion when Matt made major decisions regarding the farm without her input. That pattern, now seemingly repeating with Chris, is something she reportedly sees as a red flag. During a podcast interview months prior, Amy talked about how her second marriage was built on transparency, emphasizing that after what I went through with Matt, I need someone who brings me in, not keeps me out. If Chris has indeed been making moves behind the scenes with Matt, it threatens the very foundation of their marriage. The LPBW fanbase, always fiercely loyal to Amy, has erupted in debate. On Reddit, threads titled "Team Amy All the Way" and "Chris Just Became Matt 2.0" have garnered thousands of upvotes. Fans have dissected every Instagram like, comment, and public appearance. Some argue that Chris may have acted with good intentions, trying to keep the farm in safe hands and not letting it fall into corporate development. Others believe that's no excuse for keeping Amy in the dark. A top comment reads, "Even if Chris thought it was the right thing to do, Amy deserved to be a part of that conversation. It's her legacy, too." Meanwhile, a smaller group of fans has come to Chris's defense, suggesting that perhaps Amy is overreacting or projecting unresolved feelings about Matt. They argue that Amy has struggled to fully move on from her past, and that Chris may be caught in the crossfire of her complicated history with the farm. This faction, though smaller, has pointed to Chris's generally kind demeanor and consistent support of Amy as evidence that he wouldn't intentionally betray her. Still, the cracks are undeniable. Marriage, especially one built later in life after a painful divorce, requires an even deeper level of communication and trust. If Chris really did move forward with a deal that could benefit Matt, Amy's ex-husband and frequent emotional trigger, without her full knowledge or approval, then the implications are huge. What's next for Amy and Chris remains uncertain. Some insiders say she's seeking therapy, both individually and as a couple. Others report she's staying with a friend and taking time away from the public eye to think things through. One family member was quoted saying, "Amy's heart is broken. She thought she had found her person. Now she's questioning everything." The larger question looms. Can their relationship survive this? Or will this secretive farm deal mark the beginning of the end? One thing's for sure, fans will be watching, hearts in hand, hoping Amy finds peace and clarity in whatever path she chooses. As the dust settles on the shocking deal between Matt Roloff and Chris Marek, fans are asking one burning question: What does the future hold for Roloff Farms? The iconic property has long been more than just land. It's been a centerpiece of TLC's Little People, Big World, a symbol of family tradition, and a beloved Oregon landmark. But with ownership now rumored to be in Chris's hands, the farm's destiny feels uncertain. First, let's tackle the most immediate question on everyone's minds. Will Chris keep the farm or flip it for profit? Given Chris Marek's background in real estate, this isn't an outlandish concern. Some fans are skeptical, believing this could have been a calculated investment move all along. With the value of the property already exceeding $2 million, a quick resale could generate a hefty profit. That said, there's also a very real possibility that Chris intends to hold onto the farm, perhaps even preserve it as a legacy project or tourist destination. But then there's a bigger implication. Could this be the end of Little People, Big World as we know it? Without Matt as the central figure on the farm, and with the family further splintered after the sale, the show's future hangs in the balance. For years, Roloff Farms has been the show's anchor, the place where drama unfolded, milestones were celebrated, and pumpkins brought in the crowds. If Chris takes over and decides to take the property in a new direction, or worse, off the public radar entirely, the show could lose its narrative core. However, one glimmer of hope remains for fans. Will the farm still host public events like pumpkin season? For many, the annual Pumpkin Festival is more than tradition. It's a pilgrimage. Families travel from all over the country to walk the fields, meet the Roloffs, and immerse themselves in the magic of fall at Roloff Farms. Chris may see the value, both emotional and financial, in keeping this tradition alive. Public events could still be viable, especially if Amy is still involved, as her presence has remained a draw even after her remarriage. Now let's talk about Matt Roloff's role. Will he still be involved, or is this a final goodbye? Some believe Matt won't be able to stay away. After all, he poured decades of his life into building Roloff Farms from the ground up. Even if he sold it to Chris, Matt may find himself consulting, advising, or even showing up for special events. On the other hand, others think this might be his retirement moment, a chance to step back, enjoy time with Karen, and focus on new chapters, especially if they're still planning a move to Arizona full-time. And of course, the question that's been haunting fans for years: will the Roloff children ever reclaim the legacy? When Zach and Jeremy both expressed interest in buying parts of the farm, fans hoped the land would stay in the family. But after failed negotiations and rising tensions, those dreams seemed dashed. Now that Chris owns it, some speculate he could serve as a placeholder until one of the kids is ready or financially capable of taking over. But others feel that bridge has been burned, possibly forever. So, what's next for Roloff Farms? At this point, it could go in any direction. Chris could modernize the property and transform it into a public venue, complete with events, tours, and commercial opportunities. The farm could quietly become private, with the Roloff brand slowly fading from the land. TLC might pivot the show into a new phase, chronicling the aftermath of the farm sale and following the adult children more closely. Or, in a long shot, perhaps Chris will find a way to bridge the broken ties and bring the family back to the land they once called home. As we close this emotional and shocking chapter in the Roloff family saga, one thing is clear. What was once a shared dream has become the source of division, heartache, and perhaps the final unraveling of family bonds. The sale of Roloff Farms, a place deeply tied to the family's identity, has once again fractured the Roloff clan in ways fans never saw coming. At the center of it all is Matt Roloff, who stunned the LPBW community by choosing to sell the iconic farm not to one of his children, but to Chris Marek, his ex-wife Amy's current husband. A move that many are calling calculated, controversial, and even cruel. After years of family disputes over the property, Matt's decision effectively shut the door on Zach and Jeremy's dreams of keeping the legacy alive. For many fans, this wasn't just a real estate deal. It was a betrayal of everything the farm once represented: family, tradition, and generational roots. Then comes Amy Roloff's emotional response, a woman who lived, loved, and raised her children on that land. For her, this wasn't just a transaction. It was personal. Reports suggest she was blindsided by the deal, possibly not even consulted. The emotional weight of watching her current husband align with her ex in a deal that reopens old wounds may be too much to bear. Amy's recent behavior, withdrawn appearances, cryptic social media posts, and public silence, has only added fuel to speculation that this betrayal cuts deep. The fallout has been severe. The Roloff family dynamics are more fractured than ever. Zach and Tori are keeping their distance. Jeremy and Audrey are reportedly heartbroken. Molly and Jacob remain quiet, but the silence speaks volumes. What was once a close-knit family, despite the drama, now seems like a collection of estranged individuals connected only by a painful past. And the most heartbreaking possibility of all? Amy and Chris's marriage may be on the brink. Trust is a fragile thing, especially when built in the shadow of a complex past. If the rumors are true, and Chris made this deal behind Amy's back, it may be a betrayal she cannot move past. Divorce is reportedly on the table, and for fans who watched Amy finally find love again after years of struggle, it's a painful twist no one wanted to see. In the end, this isn't just about a farm. It's about legacy, loyalty, and loss. It's a reminder that even after the cameras stop rolling, the wounds from fame, family, and fractured dreams can run deep. Whether or not Amy and Chris can survive this, whether the family can ever come back together, remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, Roloff Farms may have been sold, but the cost? It might have been the family itself.